Hi, I'm Cynthia Thompson. I'm a transit manager for Yamhill County Transit. And today is March 2nd, and we are at the Transit Center in McMinnville, Oregon. And we have a couple things going on. There's an electric bus that we're sitting in right now, is a demo bus that is traveling around the Northwest. And Complete Coachworks is bringing it around so people can see what an electric bus is like. It's actually an 18-year-old bus that is a Elec that they've refurbished. It has, I forget how many batteries, 4, 8, like 16 batteries I think it has in it. So we have wanted people to be able to take rides on it today, and so we're taking people just around the block. This electric bus, it travels about 120 miles on a charge. It takes 4 hours to charge. And there's a push at the state level and the federal level for transit systems to look at alternative fuel vehicles and explore them if they're an option for their system. And so we're taking a look. They're pretty expensive. They cost around, this one that's a refurbished style costs around $600,000. A traditional diesel bus usually are in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. If you buy a new electric powered bus, they're over $1 million. There are a lot of grant funds out there currently for alternative fuel, and especially for electric vehicles. So it is a possibility if we could get a grant to pay for it. It would typically only be used on a local route, like in McMinnville or Newburgh, because they're shorter. We don't travel as many miles, and they're level terrain. So it is an option possibly in the future. The second reason we're having an event today is for our transit development plan. We're about halfway through the planning process. The consultants have gathered a lot of information from the public all around Yamhill County, done surveys and all different sorts of outreach events, and have gathered input from what we call the Project Advisory Committee as to what kind of services people want to see, both short and long term, for Yamhill County Transit. So today is a chance for kind of the things that have risen to the top that people really want to see happen in the near term, and to get input from the riders and from anybody who wants to come by the transit center. We're also going to have an open house at the community center in McMinnville. And so there's panels that show, or boards that show maps of potential service changes for the future. One of the top priorities that has come out of the input that we've gathered is people would like to see Saturday local service, both for McMinnville and for Newburgh, and more hours of service, later hours of service. Of course, everybody would like to see, new buses and better bus stops and other things. But it's a chance for people to come out and give their input, say what they like, what they don't like, what they want to see us do in the next couple years, and then maybe also what we should be looking at well out into 10, 12 years from now. This electric bus is a 40-foot bus. Yamhill County probably won't have any 40-foot buses in the near future. Probably the largest buses that we plan to purchase will be 30-foot buses, but this style, where they're more the square, bigger bus style. Then we also have the smaller buses, which we call cutaways, but they're on a truck chassis. Those vehicles there aren't as many options for electric. Rural systems like Yamhill County Transit typically have quite a few of the smaller mid-sized buses, and the electric technology for the mid-sized buses is not quite there yet. So I'm not, it's changing every day, and the technology is getting better and better. So maybe it won't be too long. But if we were to ever purchase a bus like this, most likely it would be a 30-foot bus. And probably what we would be able to afford would be something like a Elec, which are a really good bus, but this one is a refurbished bus where they basically rebuild it from the ground up and then change it from a diesel to a battery powered. And they are eligible for federal funding, so that is good news, which means we might be able to get a grant to pay for something like that. So it's on our radar screen. I'm not saying that it's anything that's going to happen in the short term, but we like to look at alternatives and look at what are the options out there for the system, because it does save money. I mean, if you don't have fuel cost and lower maintenance cost, it's a good thing to look into. We will be having an open house for the transit development plan in Newburgh on March 7th, and one will be held from 1:30 to 3:30 right near the main transit stop at Knapp's Thriftway, and then there will also be one at 4:30, I think 4:30 to 6:30 at the Cultural Center. So if people from Newburgh, and you don't have to be from Newburgh, anyone from the county could go to those events also and look at the service ideas, look at the different options, and you get to pretty much vote. You get to put a little note like, we think this is the most important service improvement that Yamhill Transit could make, both short-term and long-term. So we'd love for people to come out and give us their thoughts and ideas. And then the plan is expected to be completed by September of this year and adopted. So that, and we are on target. So hopefully we'll have a new plan, and then implementation will take some time, but probably work on it once the board adopts it. Then we can start working on actually implementation. One good thing I would mention is that there is some new funding. A lot of folks have probably heard about House Bill 2017. Included in that bill is funding for transit, and so the good news is we might actually be able to implement some of the changes that are being suggested, because we'll have some money, and the money should be expected to start flowing to the transit systems in 2019. If you'd like to know more about what's going on with Yamhill County Transit, there's two places you can go. One is regarding the transit development plan. We have a project website. It's www.yamhilltransitplan.com. And then if you want to go to the regular Yamhill County Transit website, it's yctransit.org. If you'd like more information about Yamhill County Transit, you can download our schedules. You can look at information about what's new, what's going on at our regular Yamhill County Transit site. If you need to call and schedule a ride, for example, for our dial-a-ride service, or just to get information about routes, you call 503-474-4900. And we have lots of meetings that are usually notified in the paper, so there's lots of opportunities for people to provide their input or to talk with us about whatever their ideas or concerns are about the transit system in Yamhill County. By this summer, riders of the transit system are going to be able to be riding on new buses. We're going to be receiving 4 30-foot buses that are Eldorado Easy Rider 2s is what they're called, and we also will be getting 2 new mid-size buses, and then we have a number of other grants that are in the process, and we will soon be ordering additional buses. So hopefully in the not too far future we will have an upgraded and much improved fleet. If you go to yamhilltransitplan.com, all the materials from the open houses and from all the previous meetings are there. Also the flyers, everything that we've done related to the transit development plan is available on that site. And there's going to be a survey link, which we'd love people to go in, and also if you can't come to one of the open houses, you can go to the website and you can basically answer the same questions, but through an online survey. So we'd love for you to do that, and I think the address to the website is on your screen, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thanks. Quarterly, we have a project advisory committee meeting, and the next meeting will be April 26th at 6:30 p.m., and it's held at the City of McMinnville's meeting room, the Kent Taylor conference room, and it's open to the public, so anybody can come. And basically it's the Ycta Advisory Committee and the Project Advisory Committee joint meeting, and they discuss all the different aspects of where we're at in the plan, and they are the oversight group that basically will make the final recommendation to the Board of Directors regarding the transit development plan. The Yamhill County Transit Advisory Committee is made up of a representative from all the 10 municipalities in Yamhill County, and they are appointed by their city council to serve on the Yamhill County Transit Advisory Committee. And then we also have a representative from Grand Ronde, and a liaison from the county, from the Board of Directors and from the county commissioners. And those meetings are quarterly, and they meet and talk about everything to do with transit. So if someone has an issue with anything, they can come and voice their concerns or suggestions at that meeting. So we would welcome people to come, and you can get dates and times. They're always at 6:30 in the evening, and they're quarterly. 4 times a year. So we'd love for people to come and provide their input.
Hi, I'm Alex Garcia, McMinnville resident. I ride the bus about every day or every other day. I heard about this event by just showing up, just riding the bus today. I thought I'd check out the bus. So we just took a ride around town. What I thought about the bus is that it's really quiet compared to the other buses. No gas smell when you get out. Just overall quiet. And it's pretty fast too, so getting off. It's not a Lamborghini, but it's pretty fast.
Hi, my name is Bob Lamadou, and I'm with Complete Coach Works out of Riverside, California, and we're sitting on a bus that's one of our products. Today we're here at the Transit Center in McMinnville showing off our product. This bus is unique in that it is all-electric, plug-in battery powered bus. It has about 120 miles of range between recharges, and the other thing that's unique about it is that it's not brand new. This is an earlier model bus that has been completely rehabilitated and then repowered from a emissions producing diesel engine to a zero emissions all electric drive. It's not only zero emissions in terms of tailpipe emissions, but it's also much quieter than a conventional diesel powered vehicle. One of the significant differences between our electric drive system and a conventional diesel powered bus is that when you want to get underway, you actually don't have to start the bus like you would think you would be used to doing. This is much more like starting up your computer. You turn it on, you wait for it to go through a brief boot up, and once that's accomplished, it's ready to drive away. We're actually sitting on the bus with it technically running, although nothing is happening that you hear, because when the bus isn't moving, there's no engine that's continuing to run and produce noise and fumes and so forth. So it's a very unique driving experience. It's much like some of the currently produced all-electric cars, just on a much larger scale. In order to get the performance and the range that this vehicle gets, which by the way is the same size as any other full-size transit bus. It's 40 feet long, it weighs about 36,000 pounds when it's fully loaded with passengers. In order to do that, to carry enough energy to do that, we actually have on board about 5,000 pounds of lithium-ion batteries. And you drive the bus by day, you pull it into the parking spot that it would spend the night at, and you just simply plug it in like you would any other plug-in electric car. By time for it to go out in the morning, it's all recharged and ready for another day's service. Obviously, being a large vehicle, the amount of electricity it takes to power the vehicle is more substantial than you would think in an electric car. But nevertheless, we can recharge this bus in as little as 2 hours. Nominally, we allow about 4 hours to fully recharge the coach, and it's no different than an electric car, just on a much larger scale. And the electricity can also be produced in a totally green fashion. If your power supplier is supplying you hydroelectric or wind power or solar power, then the bus truly becomes zero emissions. The type of batteries that power this bus, and they're actually lithium-ion batteries produced by one of the biggest lithium-ion battery producers in the world, and that's Samsung, obviously out of Korea. We buy the individual cells, and as a bus builder, we build our own battery packs that are appropriate for use in a bus. And there's a lot of individual cells on one bus. You can imagine each cell is like roughly the size of a flashlight battery, and there's 5,000 pounds of them on board. But that's what it takes to store enough energy to power a large vehicle of this nature. The company that I work for, who produces this vehicle, has been in business over 33 years at this point, and historically our bread and butter has been rehabilitating transit buses. There's been a large market for transit buses that have been completely reconditioned and put back in service due to the cost savings. At a point about 6 years ago, electric vehicle technology had gotten to the point where we were interested, and basically as an option on a rehabilitated coach, we started offering an integrated electric drive system. At this point, we've got about 60 of these vehicles in service in various places across the country that have been in service for a number of years now, and they're proving to be very reliable and very economical to operate. A lot of people ask about the difference in the cost of operation and the maintenance of a vehicle that's electric powered, such as this, compared to their diesel powered counterpart. And it's pretty dramatically different. In a typical 10 to 12 year life expectancy of this vehicle in service, the savings due to the lower maintenance and typically the electricity cost per mile is about 25 to 30% of what the cost for liquid fuel such as diesel. Those two numbers, those two savings, translate into a savings of greater than $400,000 compared to a very similar diesel powered bus. And when you factor in that dramatically reduced maintenance, and the reason the maintenance cost goes down so much is simply all of the high maintenance systems that would be on this bus conventionally just simply don't exist anymore. Oil changes are a thing of the past. All the hazmat disposal of the byproducts of maintaining this bus mostly are all gone. And the beauty of it being a rehabbed coach that's of a known manufacturer is that maintenance people don't have to learn a brand new vehicle from scratch. We train about the differences of the electric propulsion system compared to the diesel, but 90 to 95% of the vehicle remains very conventional, and so maintenance people are very comfortable adopting these into their fleet. So the whole package makes them a very desirable choice. One of the things that buyers of these coaches really appreciate is the fact that it's a familiar vehicle, and the drivers love that. Virtually every driver that gets in the driver's seat of this bus immediately recognizes that it's just like any other transit bus that they've likely driven before. The training curve for the drivers is almost non-existent because from their perspective it behaves virtually the same as any bus they've driven before. The only real difference is they find that it's much smoother and much quieter. But as far as all the rest of their driving habits, what they've been trained to do, all apply. A driver that can drive any conventional transit bus can drive this bus with no problem whatsoever. In fact, most drivers really kind of fall in love with it when they've had an opportunity to test it for a while. Every one of our coaches also includes its own onboard charging system. The operators of these coaches simply have to have, it's a very heavy duty, but in essence, an electrical outlet with a power cord, which we also supply as part of the coach, near where they're going to park the bus while it charges. And literally they park the bus, and either the driver or a maintenance person takes the cord and just plugs it into the bus. Everything else about the recharging is totally automatic. It's controlled by a system that we call the battery management system on board the coach. It charges, it shuts off when it's done. Everything is automatic and computer controlled. The driver doesn't have to worry about anything. And on top of it, it's interlocked so that when the cord's attached to the bus, it's impossible to drive it away forgetting to unplug it. So if you're going to drive the bus away, first thing you have to do is unplug it. And if you forget, the bus just simply won't move. So we've done plenty of things to ensure everybody's safety. Due to the simplicity of the drive system, a lot of people assume that the bus ends up lighter because of the diesel power package that we remove and all the support systems for that engine. And what we put in is much simpler, and so the assumption is the bus might be lighter. Unfortunately, the reality is we're adding about 1,500 pounds to the bus, and mostly that's because of the weight of the batteries. They're substantial. And our goal is not to deliver a bus that's heavier than the original product that the manufacturer designed. So we take some steps to put the bus on a diet, so to speak, to get rid of that additional weight. And the three things we primarily do is we substitute glass. Most of the buses have glass windows. We put in a more state-of-the-art polycarbonate window, which are very good, very durable. The big difference is they're significantly lighter than glass. There's a lot of glass windows in a 40-foot bus, obviously. The seating system is another thing. Buses of this age range typically had stainless steel framework for the seats. Very durable, very robust, not very light. We take advantage of some new seating products that the manufacturers offer now that use a lot more high-tech plastic in the structure. They're very good seats, very comfortable, but they're significantly lighter as well. And then the third thing is the industry for decades has used 3/4-inch plywood as the underbase of the floor. It's not what you walk on, there's flooring material, but underneath plywood has been the product that's been used because it's proven to be very durable and does a good job, and it's not horribly expensive. It is heavy, so we replace it with a plastic composite that's the same dimensions as plywood. It works the same as plywood as far as installing it, but it weighs about 70% less than plywood. The downside is it's 10 times as much money. So when you don't need it, it's not practical to use it. But that also cuts out a big chunk of weight. So the combination of the lighter floor, the lighter weight seats, and the lighter weight windows, we're back to the original curb weight on the coach, and that was our target, because we don't want somebody to have to accept a vehicle that has less carrying capacity than its diesel counterpart. We want this thing to have the same capabilities across the board. And that was a big part of the formula. What we're looking at right now is the roof-mounted climate control system on this coach. This particular coach has a unit manufactured by Denso, who is a top Japanese manufacturer of lots of electrical devices, including air conditioners and heating systems. We offer the Denso and other manufacturers based on what the customer's desire is. The thing that's unique is that it's 100% electric powered, runs off the same batteries that power the rest of the coach. This is a view of the driver's area. Well, I like to call it their office. It's pretty much the same as any other conventional transit coach. Only really big difference, instead of a fuel gauge, we have a gauge that shows the state of charge of the batteries. So it's like reading how much fuel you have. It's just you're talking electricity instead of diesel fuel. Now we're looking at the state of charge, in essence the fuel gauge for an electric vehicle. We convert everything to LED lighting inside and out, which gives you the most light for the least amount of power. They're very efficient lights.
So are these bars aluminum?
These happen to be stainless steel. Aluminum has not proven to be strong enough unless you get in some really expensive high-tech tempered aluminums, but this, yeah, if they were aluminum, they'd be lighter. What we're looking at here is in the back end of the bus where a lot of the original equipment was mounted, and it's been repurposed specifically for the electric. The blue boxes that you see are 4 of the battery packs. There's a total of 12 on board the bus to give it enough energy to do the job, but we have to mount them in various places. So this is 4 of the 12 here. The 2 components in the middle, the top one's the battery charger and the lower one is the main motor controller that the driver basically is telling the bus what to do with the throttle. And then below that, in what originally was the engine compartment, we have some more equipment all related to the electric drive. You can see in the background there's 4 more of the batteries, so 8 of the 12 batteries here in the back of the bus. The remaining 4 are underneath. And the rest of what you see here is cabling and switchgear to control various systems on board the bus. But it's a lot different than the engine compartment of a conventional coach, as you can see. And there's not a lot of stuff there that needs any kind of daily maintenance or even routine maintenance. That all pretty much takes care of itself. This port right here, which is covered by a rubber protective cover, is where you plug the extension cord in order to charge the bus. It's larger than a typical plug-in that you'd have on some device at home, but it works the same way. So at the end of the day, you'd plug in your extension cord, close the lid, walk away. About 4 hours later, it's fully recharged, ready to rock and roll.